What's up, everybody? My name is Josh LaFleur from Late Start Piano. Today, we're going to be talking about the 3 mindset shifts that will make learning the piano and playing the piano as a beginner so much easier, as long as you can remember to keep these 3 things in mind while you're learning the piano. You're going to help prevent yourself from feeling really frustrated. You're going to help prevent yourself from looking at other people. And most importantly, you're not going to have that feeling of burnout. You're not going to have that feeling of I can't. And instead, you'll have that feeling of that this is possible. And you'll be much more likely to actually stick with playing the piano long term. Especially if you're an adult, all of these points will apply to you for sure. So, point number 1 is you need to take it one day at a time. One day at a time. And the reason for this is because when you're just starting to learn the piano, especially if you are an adult, there's so much that you need to learn. You might have to learn how to read sheet music. You will have to learn the names of the notes on the keys. You're going to have to learn the hand coordination piece, the finger dexterity piece, the damper pedal, the sustain pedal, how much force you need to actually press down on the keys to even make a noise. How do you move about the piano? What's a key signature? What's a time signature? There's so much that you need to learn as a beginner piano player that it can feel so overwhelming and so drastically difficult, like impossibly difficult, that if you're not taking it one day at a time, if you are looking ahead or you are comparing yourself to other people or you are feeling like you're not progressing fast enough, all of these things will lead to unnecessary feelings of frustration, and they're going to lead to you eventually quitting the piano if you do not become aware and become conscious of these thoughts that you are having. So it's why it's so important just to take piano one day at a time. You can still have goals, and you should have goals to look forward to in the future, but you want to have goals that are about improving yourself. You don't want to be trying to get to some other person's level within a certain time period. You should only be trying to be better than you were yesterday. Right? It sounds corny, but it's a corny saying for a reason, because you're really only competing against yourself. So you can have goals, look forward to the future, see where you want to be in a year from now, 6 months from now, but also remember, more importantly, that to get to where you want to be, it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take time, and it's going to be a requirement of you that you take it one day at a time, so you don't get that feeling of overwhelmed and you're lost out there in the middle of the ocean. That's not how you want to feel. Take it one day at a time. Point number 2 is you want to think when you are practicing. Think in terms of your consistency when you practice, not the number of hours. Okay? So I don't want to confuse you with this point. When I play the piano, I actually track how much I play. My goal is to play at least 30 minutes a day. I always go over that, but the bare minimum is 30 minutes per day. Now I will literally take out my phone and use a stopwatch in the app, in my iPhone app, and I will just play it, and I will break up my practice session into chunks. And once I hit that hour mark, usually an hour and a half, then I'm done for the day. And you can do that too, but the point I'm making here in point number 2, again, about how to make piano much easier and accessible for you to play, is that you want to focus more on consistency. So I know I said I play an hour and a half, even if you just do 20 minutes a day. So you do 20 minutes a day, let's say 5 days a week. That's perfect. That's really all you need to make noticeable progress within a month. If you can really play 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week, in 1 month, you're going to see noticeable improvement. And you can do this to prove it to yourself if you record yourself playing, or if you're working with a teacher, or if you're playing in front of friends and family, if they're being honest with you, have them evaluate you when you first play, and then a month later, go back and play that same thing, and you will notice, and they will notice the improvement that you have made. So a lot of people get caught up in the hours, especially if you are a younger person and maybe you have dreams or ambitions of becoming a performer, of becoming a concert pianist. A lot of people will say that you need to practice for 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day. Okay, and maybe that's true if you're trying to become a concert pianist, but if you're watching this video and you're an adult, chances are that's not you. Chances are that you just want to be able to play songs that you love. Maybe you always wanted to play piano, but you never could because you had to work, you had a family, whatever. Or maybe you just never got around to it. Maybe you couldn't afford a piano when you were younger, but now you're an adult, you're making a little bit more money. Now you can actually afford one to begin with. When you're in that situation, you're not trying to become a professional musician. Your goal should be much more about consistency rather than the number of hours that you're putting in. So again, the consistency is much, much more important. It's infinitely better if you practice for 5 days a week and you do 20 minutes per day, rather than if you do one big hour, what would that be? Hour 40 long, hour 20 long, whatever that is, right? So you want to break it up into different days. When you learn, your brain learns when you go to bed. That's why you might have noticed when you're sleeping, I should say. That's why you may have noticed when you were practicing something and you're kind of banging your head up against the wall for a long time, let's say an hour, and then you're not getting it, but then you go to sleep or you walk away, you take a little bit of a nap or a break even. But definitely when you go to sleep, when you wake up the next day, you can play that piece or that section a lot easier because your brain needs time. It needs time to accept what you are giving it, and it needs time to actually comprehend what you're trying to tell it. And all that learning, all of that progress really happens when you are sleeping. Same thing if you lift weights, right? If you're a big gym advocate and you go to the gym 5 days a week and you go for an hour a day, the progress isn't really in the gym. It's when you're out of the gym. So what are you eating and how much you're sleeping, right? That's when the gains are really made at the gym. Same thing at the piano. It's when you're away from the piano and you're sleeping or you are just resting after you put in that work. That's when your brain starts to do its job as well and actually allow you to learn new things and actually allow you to improve. Point number 3 of mindset shifts that will make your learning a lot easier is you want to acknowledge how far you've come up to this point. So even if you've only have been playing piano for 1 week or 1 month or a year, whatever it is, you want to acknowledge how much progress you have made since the month before, the year before, since when you first started. Again, it can be very easy to kind of always be looking ahead at where you want to be, how much better you want to be, or maybe you're looking at other people, right? And you're saying, wow, this person's so much better than me. Don't do that. Focus on yourself. Again, like I said, you want to be competing against yourself. Take into account how far you've come up to this point. So when you do feel frustrated, which will happen because we're all human beings, and you do feel frustrated and you do feel overwhelmed at the piano, take a step back, look at where you are today and look at where you were a year ago. And this is why I tell people that you should record yourself playing, especially if you don't have a teacher, because this is going to be proof to yourself that you are actually improving. So when you record yourself playing one song, right? And then a month later or a week later after you've been practicing it, record yourself again. And guaranteed you will notice a lot of improvement, and you might even hear some mistakes that you can now go back and fix that you didn't hear before. So recording yourself can be really, really helpful. But as far as the mindset piece, you want to always be aware of how far you've come. And you can always take a moment, at the end of your practice session or whatever, especially if you are feeling frustrated in that moment, and say, well, today wasn't a good practice session, but compared to where I was a month ago, I have improved drastically. Okay. And if you do what I tell you to do, if you've watched the videos on this channel, if you practice 5 days a week, at least 20 minutes per day, consistently is the key word, you will improve, guaranteed. It doesn't even really matter what you're practicing, as long as you're getting that repetition. That spaced repetition is so, so important. That's why I keep bringing it up in this video. So hope that helps. With all that said, I do have a free guide on my website, www.latestarpiano.com. This guide has 34 essential tips for brand new beginner adult piano players to play piano as fast as possible. In this guide, we talk about practice strategies, we talk about music theory, We talk about the layout of the piano, the setup, how you should be sitting down at the piano so it can make it a lot easier for you. At the very end, if you've never played before, we'll give you note-by-note instructions about how to play your very first song. Again, if you're interested in that, it's on my website, www.latestarpiano.com. Make sure you put in the wwws and click on that big bright purple button on that page, enter in your name and email address, and you'll have instant access to that guide. If you want to take it even further, I am offering piano lessons right now via Zoom. If you're interested in that, send me an email, latestarpiano@gmail.com, and we'll set up a day and a time that works best for you. Again, happy practicing. My name is Josh LaFleur with Late Start Piano.